Dallas Mayor Eric Johnson just announced this morning that he is leaving the Democratic Party because he believes in law and order and he doesn't recognize the Democratic Party anymore. Now, this is pretty big news because he served as a Democrat for years in the state of Texas, and we've seen this defection from the Democratic Party from people like Tulsi Gabbard, now Eric Johnson, and many others. So let me tell you why I think more and more Democrats are identifying as independents or moving over to the Republican Party, and I think it's because the Democratic Party went so far left, they left a lot of their base behind. If you look at the 1994 crime bill, most Democrats, like Joe Biden, were tough on crime. Now, if you go to Chicago and New York, they don't even want to call the crime out because they don't want to be seen as divisive. Most lifelong Democrats and liberals I talk to, they will tell you themselves they are sick of the robbing, the looting, people being let out with no bail. But the Democratic leadership from the top down, they do not want to be tough on crime anymore, and it's much to the detriment of their party. Another sentiment I see from a lot of Democrats who've defected and left the Democratic Party is they think the Democratic Party has become the party of war. I mean, even if you look at the migrant crisis, Joe Biden is more concerned with securing Ukraine's border than he is securing the southern border here in the United States. Another reason we're seeing a lot of people leave the Democratic Party is because they're not willing to let go of all of this gender ideology. If you talk to most lifelong Democrats off the record, they will tell you they don't think young kids should be able to change their gender before they're old enough to vote, okay? They don't agree with all of the indoctrination that's going on in schools. There are some students now in these Democrat-run cities where they can list 50 different pronouns, but they can't list all of the 50 states, and that is a problem. Also, according to NBC, 70% and growing of Americans do not think biological men should be able to compete in women's sports, but almost every single Democrat votes for that and thinks it's okay. So I don't know why many folks in the Democratic leadership are choosing to ignore their constituents, why they're voting against their constituents, but maybe you'd have to ask their lobbyists, their special interests, and all of the money and things that go on behind the scenes with the agenda.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. We got to talk about some great news. Some news that has liberals and Democrats upset. They're pissed off, okay? But what else is new, right? What else is new? Liberals are upset every single day. Democrats are melting down every single day. This is just one of many daily meltdowns that they have because, let's be honest, it's not a good time to be a Democrat, right? I mean, to be quite honest with you, I don't see too many loud and proud Democrats or Biden supporters anymore, okay? Because they have destroyed the country and everybody knows it, okay? So nobody's out here waving the D flag, right? The donkey flag, claiming that they're Democrat loudly and proudly. In fact, you have some people who are actually saying, you know what? I'm not a Democrat anymore. I'm not affiliated with the Democrats. The Democrat Party and their brand has been tarnished, okay? And one of those people is Dallas Mayor Eric Johnson, who just switched party affiliations from Democrat to Republican. Now, Eric Johnson essentially framed this move as, well, I basically govern like a Republican because I'm tough on crime. I believe in fiscal conservatism, lowering taxes, law and order. I'm not for defunding the police, aka, again, the guy he runs on common sense, right? Common sense, okay? He's been a common sense mayor, and that has resulted in Dallas being one of the safer cities in the U.S., the safer, larger cities, and having a fast-growing economy, one of the faster-growing economies for America's cities. Again, for all intents and purposes, if you look at Dallas versus other large American cities, Dallas seems to be a significant upgrade, okay? And again, it just so happens that the mayor there is not governing the same way that you see the woke mayors of cities like New York and Chicago. So again, he's getting a whole lot of backlash. Like, for example, this guy, Brian Tyler Cohen, who is a Democrat Party propagandist, he says Dallas Mayor Eric Johnson just portrayed voters after being reelected, announcing he is switching parties from Democrat to Republican. This is shameful. Roland Martin says, I read Dallas Johnson for Dallas op-ed, and it's a joke. He should have leveled with the voters of Dallas. Crime and property taxes. Man, please, he's trying to run for higher office. Yeah, so again, the guy, Roland Martin, who's a Democrat Party puppet, is upset, right? That this black man who was a Democrat became a Republican. And I want to go ahead and play this news clip so you guys can get a better understanding of what's going on here. Take a look.
As he is switching parties, making the city of Dallas the largest in the country run by a Republican. Fox 4's Blake Hansen live tonight with more on what the changes will mean and some reaction to Blake.
As Stephen, making the switch, Mayor Johnson said he understands the decision will surprise many, but it is not a shock to many who closely follow politics and yet could still have some big implications for the future.
The 60th mayor of the great city of Dallas, my friend, Mayor Johnson.
When Eric Johnson was sworn in for his second term as Dallas mayor in June, the then Democrat had Texas's two Republican senators there supporting him. He's now joined the two. Johnson announcing in a Wall Street Journal op-ed Friday, "I have no intention of changing my approach to my job, but today I am changing my party affiliation." Going on to write, "The future of America's great urban centers depends on the willingness of the nation's mayors to champion law and order and practice fiscal conservatism." Johnson has long made cracking down on violent crime, lowering property rates, and attracting business central tenets to his mayorship. He discussed those efforts in an appearance on Fox News Channel late last month.
We've worked really closely with the community here in Dallas to make sure that our police feel supported throughout this time when a lot of people have talked about defunding the police and questioning the role that law enforcement plays.
Although mayoral positions are technically nonpartisan, Johnson's move sparked backlash for going Republican in solidly Democrat Dallas County. Dallas County Democratic Chair Cardinal Coleman writing that Johnson has the gall to join a party so blatantly opposed to the values of Dallas is an embarrassment, not only to him, but to our community.
Well, Johnson was never a particularly partisan Democrat.
SMU political science professor Matthew Wilson says the move could be advantageous if Johnson seeks higher office.
Texas is becoming more two-party competitive, but clearly it's still a state where Republicans have an advantage. And moreover, by becoming pretty much the only African-American Republican leader of a major city, he puts himself in a much more kind of unique political position than he is within the Democratic Party.
Johnson's staff told me that he was not available for an interview today. His op-ed really did not go into detail as to what his future political plans might be.
Yeah, so you seen that, you heard that. Now, like I told you guys, there are a lot of liberals, Democrats online who are upset with this move. Take a look.
The bullshit continues. Eric Johnson, the mayor of Dallas, is switching his party affiliation from Democrat to Republican. I'm Kai Von Schroff, a Democratic political commentator and public interest attorney, and if you follow me, you know I've pointed out a couple stories like this one. A very concerning trend where we see people campaign as Democrats, get elected, and then suddenly flip on voters and become Republicans. It's incredibly unfair and corrupt. Here he is, Dallas Mayor Eric Johnson. He's announced this decision, this corrupt decision, through an op-ed in the Wall Street Journal opinion pages. So that's how you know it's pure right-wing propaganda. His argument doesn't even make sense. He says that America's cities need Republicans, so that's why he's becoming one, but then at the same time says the very city that he is the leader of is doing great, and he's a Democrat. He was a Democrat. So how do you connect those two? It literally is nonsense.
How come I come to Texas and the first thing I see when I wake up, that the Dallas mayor here in Texas changed his party affiliation from Democrat to Republican? You want to see?
Party switch. The longtime Democrat says he plans to join the Republican Party. He made that announcement in an opinion piece he wrote for the Wall Street Journal. Governor Greg Abbott applauded his decision in a social media post saying Texas is getting more red every day.
Oh, hell. And according to him, he was never favored by the Democratic caucus, and he said the feeling was mutual. And like many politicians, he wrote an op-ed in the Wall Street Journal just to let us know why he did this. He said he has no intention in changing the way he approaches his job, but he disagrees with Democrat policies on things like public safety and spending. He's upset that some of that money is going to the homeless, coddled criminals, and make it harder for ordinary people to make a living. He also accuses Democrats of virtue signaling. The GOP, of course, is welcoming him with open arms. Greg Abbott has his arms wide open and he says, "Come here, my son." And he also said, as you heard, that Texas is becoming more red every day. That's absolutely not true. You keep cheating. You keep cheating.
This is complete bullshit. they should have a whole new fucking election because he's literally changing his complete political views. There's no way he can just be like, you've defrauded your voters. You critically changed your line of thinking and what you have based your campaign on. There's no way, you can say I stand for the same things that I told my constituents I stand for and change parties. Not in today's society. This is bullshit. This is rigged. They understand the community is so... They want change so bad. They do not want the GOP, that they literally just plant these seeds and hey, polish them up. And, they want change so bad. They will see Democratic and go Democratic because they want to go Democratic.
Good morning, America. I wake up to this news right here. Hold on. The recently re-elected mayor of Dallas is changing his affiliation from Democrat to Republican in the year of our Lord, 2023. This no-neck, funny-shaped head trash panda right here. This one right here. This one. Because all skin folk ain't kinfolk. This no-ear having has misrepresented himself on his job application, and this shit is akin to fraud. People of Dallas, listen to me and listen to me well, please. This your employee. Your taxes pay his salary, pay his health care, pay his pension, pay all that shit. The kickbacks he's getting from Republican dark money right now to do this bullshit would not be coming to him if not for him being elected into that position. So now it is your duty to fire him.
Yeah, so you seen that, you heard that, okay? Now, that lady at the end there, she went on to say a lot more that I didn't feel comfortable including in the video because it sounded like she was basically threatening the guy, right? Telling people to do things that, again, I would consider to be not okay, right? But again, that's how upset these people are, right? They are melting down, boohoo, whining, crying, fraud. It's rigged because this Democrat decided to switch to Republican after getting reelected. Well, I mean, here's what these people really don't understand. What they don't understand is that this is not some type of political operation. Okay, this isn't fraud. It wasn't rigged. What happened was that the guy probably is a conservative Democrat. Okay, he's probably what used to be a 90s Democrat for the most part. Okay, and a 90s Democrat is today's Republican because the liberal left, the Democrat Party has become so far left. Okay, the Democrat Party and what they stand for is essentially lunacy, right? They want unlimited spending, defunding the police. They don't want to enforce law and order. Okay, they want to raise taxes on everybody. Okay, they want to essentially redistribute wealth. I mean, all these things are far left positions that the Democrat Party has embraced. I mean, if you still call yourself a Democrat, then you're probably a socialist, right? You're a socialist, okay? Again, back in the day, you used to say that you're a Democrat and, hey, you're not a socialist, okay? But again, that's just not the case. The Democrat parties went so far left. And this guy, being what I would probably describe as a conservative Democrat, decided that, you know what? I'm basically a Republican, right? I'm a Republican. And I don't blame him because if you listen to these people on the left, anybody that disagrees with him is basically a Republican, okay? If you listen to Jake Yogurt, okay, of TYT, he says people like Joe Rogan and Bill Maher are far right, right? Even though they're classical liberals, they're far right, okay? So again, it's Democrats pushing people into the Republican Party. That's kind of what happens. And this guy is 100% correct when he says that, yeah, America's cities need Republicans. That is the honest to God truth. They do. America's big cities need Republicans and conservative policy solutions in order to fix these cities. But that's not the direction that these cities are going in. They're voting for further and further and further left lunatics to run their cities, and you see the results. Again, look at Chicago. Look at San Francisco. Look at any of these places that are run by all Democrats, left-wing loonies. You see the results. You see the results. I mean, Chicago is now thinking about opening up socialist grocery stores because crime is so bad that businesses can't operate in these neighborhoods. So now the neighborhoods don't have places to eat food or to get food from because all the grocery stores are like, I don't want to be here, right? Okay? Too much crime. Again, this is why you need Republicans, conservatives to be elected in these cities. However, it's damn near impossible if you have an R by your name to get elected. So yeah, sometimes you gotta, do stuff that is controversial. Maybe you do need to run as a Democrat, right? Republicans do need to run as Democrat, clean up these cities, and then once that happens, right, they get reelected, switch to R and be like, see, I was governing as a Republican the whole time, okay? But I couldn't win unless I had a D by my name. But do you see how great Republican policies are for these cities? Okay, I'm just saying, if that's what we got to do, that's what we got to do. I'm not saying that's what this dude did, but what I'm saying is that my gut feeling is that he was more of a centrist. He was more of a conservative Democrat. And again, he basically was pushed out of his party because he didn't go along with the far left liberal agenda of the Democrats that probably do run that city of Dallas for the most part. And again, that's the problem. So now people want to be upset when it's like, nah, he's not changing his policies. It's just that nowadays just having common sense, right, makes you a Republican, okay? Not being far left makes you a Republican. So, I mean, again, this is the result of the Democrat Party going too far left. So it is what it is. I mean, clearly the guy also probably has ambitions to run for higher office as well, too. But regardless, it seems to me, at least from what I've seen, Dallas is not one of these cities that is facing, the same issues at the same level as some of these other cities like Chicago, New York, San Francisco. It seems to be run by a guy that's actually sane, right? And the result of that is that it's safer and generally a better place to be than most of these big cities. But hey, let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.